Here's another set. We're going to do 66, 64, and 62. 62 is interesting, so that one's going to be the last one on this set. So we start with 66, and we want to establish that this side looks like this side. Since this is all in terms of cosine and sine, I'm going to write this in terms of cosine over here. So for 66, I'm going to write this is 1 over cosine, this piece, and this is going to be 1 plus 1 over cosine. Now I'm going to keep this here and have a common denominator here. For this, my common denominator is cosine, so that's going to be cosine plus 1. So we have cosine plus 1 over cosine. Now what we're going to do is clean this up, and I have, when I cancel out the cosines, I have 1 over cosine plus 1. Now, still, I don't have this. So, what I'm going to do here, and I'll do it on the next page, is I'm going to multiply this by the conjugate, which would be, I'm going to multiply this by the conjugate. And since I want 1 minus cosine on the top, I'm going to rewrite this as 1 over cosine, 1 plus cosine. This is 1 over 1 plus cosine. These two are equivalent because they're both addition. Alright, so I'm going to have 1 over 1 plus cosine. I'm going to multiply by the conjugate, 1 minus cosine over 1 minus cosine. Again, the reason I did that is because I want this, to establish identity, that's what we have. So if I multiply across, I have 1 minus cosine. And if I multiply down here, I have 1 minus cosine squared, which gives me 1 minus cosine over sine squared, which is what I wanted. So there's your final answer on that one. Okay, on this one, again, we did another one like this. This was like number 68. So I'm going to hopefully assume that this is going to end up being sine squared plus cosine squared. Since I kind of know that, especially by looking at that, I'm going to rewrite these in terms of sine and cosine. And then write over common denominator and then clean it all up. So this is sine over cosine minus cosine over sine. And do it again. Sine over cosine plus cosine over sine. My common denominator is cosine times sine, and that leaves us sine squared minus cosine squared, because again you're just cross multiplying here, and then we have the same thing here. We have cosine times sine, and what happens here is we have sine squared plus cosine squared. Now, on this one, this is 64, so what we're going to do is get, and what I keep forgetting sometimes when I'm doing this is I still have to add what? This piece. So this is plus 2 cosine squared. Now, what's going to happen here is these two cancel, and what is sine squared plus cosine squared? This part equals 1. So basically what we have now is sine squared minus cosine squared plus 2 cosine squared. When you add this up, this equals sine squared plus cosine squared, which equals 1. So basically 1 equals 1. Right. Now I left a page here, so on to 62. Alright. Now, this one is a little different. What we're going to do here, and you probably noticed it if you did 61. So I'll go back here and say do or look at 61 first. There's a special technique that we really haven't gone over too much. So in this one, what I'm going to do is write first everything in terms of sine and cosine, because that's what I have here. So this is 1 over cosine minus cosine, 1 over cosine plus cosine, and I'm going to find the common denominator, which is cosine, and I get 1 minus cosine squared over 1 plus cosine squared all over cosine. These two cancel. Now this equals sine squared, and that's what we want. So you just write sine squared over 1 minus cosine squared. And we're done.